Good morning. My name is Chad Eaton, and I'm here representing Bandera Healthcare. I have the privilege of introducing our next speaker, Alyson Van Hooser. Alyson Van Hooser is not your typical business speaker. Her expertise in effective leadership in today's world comes from her own success in business and life lessons learned from the very beginning. From a tough start to rapid success in the food, retail, and financial industry, to become a city councilwoman by the age of 26. Owning her own business, writing multiple books on leadership concepts, and teaching on leadership, influence, and communication to organizations around the country. Alyson tops it off by being a wife and a mother of 4. Get ready to connect, shift your perspective, learn, have a little fun. Please welcome Alyson Van Hooser. Hey.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it. Good morning, Arizona. Now, I have been told don't step in a crack, I'll break my mama's back. So if I trip, can we agree we're all going to laugh together? Yes? All right, I've got 3 questions as we begin today because I want to sort of feel the energy in the room. I've been backstage. I haven't been able to watch how you all have been acting out here. So let me ask the first question. If you would like to have some fun today, let me hear you say yes. Yes. All right. If you would like to learn something while you're here, let me hear you say yes. Yes. All right, one last question. If you would like to grow your success, I want a loud yes. Yes. Nice, then we're all exactly where we need to be. Now, I only have about 59 minutes with you. There's some things that you need to know as we kick things off here right now. First, the first question I asked you was, do you want to have some fun today? You all said, yes, I want to have some fun too, but don't get it twisted, I didn't come to play. My intent is to teach you an immediately actionable strategy, one that you can implement from the moment you leave this room, at work, with your family, with your friends, with the people in this room. This strategy, I've been told, has changed the way people see themselves and everyone they know. And what I know is over the past 7 years, we've refined this strategy, and it's helped organizations build world-class teams. I hope that you leave here both feeling energized and excited about what's to come, but we have to start with why. Infinite influence is the outcome of the strategy I'm going to teach you today. There is a reason we need a more effective strategy as we navigate the workforce we have today, because we all have a common challenge. You tell me if this is your challenge. I'm going to be looking for head shaking yes or no. I've never experienced that at all. The challenge that we face in America today, in 2025 and beyond, and it will continue to grow, is twofold. First, inside of workplaces today, there's never been more wildly diverse expectations and perspectives of how people want to work, where they want to work, who they want to work with, how they want to communicate, who they want to communicate with, who they want to take direction from. There's never been more diverse perspectives in terms of what does it mean to be respectful or give great care. Diversity is a challenge we're all navigating in the workplace today. If you can see that in your workplace, give me a yes. I see different perspectives. Okay, heads around the room are shaking. The second challenge we face, which makes this most difficult today, is that our culture is such that if we do not like what is happening in the workplace, then culture today says, you can do one of 2 things. You can quit and leave. If you don't like the way you're being treated at work, go work somewhere else. And people will go home and their family will celebrate. Thank goodness you got out of there. I'm so excited for what's to come. Whereas years ago, there was almost a warning. Now, you don't want to be a job hopper. It wouldn't be very professional of you. You just need to stick with it. We've seen a shift in our culture. People quitting and leaving is bad, but I think what is worse is when people choose to quit and stay. where they keep working here, they keep collecting the paycheck. They'll even sign up for greater opportunities, and maybe we give it to them because we don't have anybody else, but they've quit. They're going to do the bare minimum in order to get by. Is that helpful for you all? Yes or no? No. When people quit and stay, I think it's worse than when they quit and leave. Because it creates this breeding ground, this infection throughout the team for more people to also take their foot off the gas. With those two challenges in mind, I get to work with incredibly smart people. I'm going to throw you into that group. Please don't prove me wrong over the next 55 minutes. I'm going to assume, which is dangerous, I'm going to assume that you all are good people with good intentions who want to do good work in this world. And yet, because of the people side of the business, have you ever found yourself stressed? Yes or no? Don't answer this one out loud, but a little exhausted, a little burnt out. You feel like you're doing everything you can in order to increase employee engagement, increase performance, change morale, drive change in your organization. You feel like you're spinning your wheels and never gaining ground. I see heads shaking across the room. It's left a lot of people wondering, is the work and the effort even worth it? And I came with good news. The answer is yes. And the answer becomes yes when we know how to achieve infinite influence. Infinite influence. I must define that for you, because if I were to ask the crowd of this size, how would you define influence? Some of you might say, it's motivating someone. It's realizing your impact on someone. And I learned a long time ago that with so much diversity, I don't need to assume you know what I mean. I learned this back in college. Now, Mark said he's not going to ask you to dance or do anything embarrassing. He knew I'm going to. So, I don't know if you came prepared to dance, but let me look across the crowd right now. Can all of you lift your arms up? Like, depending on how many boomers we have in here, you might have to work that shoulder out a bit, but can you lift the arms up? Can we put them down? Can we move our arms around like this a little bit? All right, fantastic. I think we have 100% participation. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to give you a test to see if you know some of the songs we would listen to in Western Kentucky growing up. I want to define infinite influence with you, not assume we're on the same page, because if you get this right, listen carefully. You will gift yourself an unfailing compass for exactly what to say and do to improve the quality of your relationships and the quality of your care and the quality of your culture and employee engagement immediately. Now, I have to tell you this story because you'll understand why I will give you so many details throughout this session. Now, I was putting on an event with some of my college buddies. It feels like yesterday, but it was more like 15 years ago. About 15 years ago, it was a church event. So in our church, the youth pastor had left. Whether you've ever been to church or not, you will understand what I'm about to say. The youth pastor had left. There was nobody there doing activities with the kids. So as the college group, we thought we want to make a difference in these kids. We want to step up. So we went to the decision makers in the church and we asked for an opportunity to serve. Now, we had no prior experience, but I'm the sort of person who's wired to go big or go home. So whenever we went to ask, my friends are pushing me towards the front, we go ask, and I asked, can we do a 3-day long overnight event for 200 high school seniors here at the church? And those decision makers, they laughed like some of you. Some of them said no, majority said yes, majority rules, the event was on. Now, as any good manager of a project, we realized we knew the outcome that we wanted. We wanted kids to have a good time, want to come back, have an experience that would make a difference. We understood that we needed to outline and assign responsibilities to everyone in the college group. I was given the first 5 minutes of the night. That was one of the things I was in charge of. The first 5 minutes of the night, I wanted the kids to, if you're over the age of 40, I wanted them to walk in the room and I wanted to set the mood. If you're under the age of 40, I wanted to create a vibe. I wanted them to feel some type of way when they walked in. Now this was several years ago, back whenever black lights and fog machines were really cool. Some of you all remember those. And so we thought, we'll have everyone enter the room, imagine this room, but no tables and chairs. There's no seats in the room. The lights are off. The stage is lit. There's fog. There's music going so loud it would change the way your heart beat when you walked in the room. Kids would come in, throw their duffel bags off. They're going to the front and they begin dancing because every college leader was assigned a dance. They had to line the stage, come up to the front, and do their dance. I want to see if you all know some of these dance moves. Only two. I'm only going to test you with two because we had made an assumption that if you have been to a wedding before, if you have ever been in elementary school, you would know the dance moves to these songs. We also had to pick G-rated songs. I want you to hear me very carefully. One of the most dangerous things we can do from an employee engagement perspective is assume that we all have the same understanding of how things should go, the same understanding of the expectations we are to uphold. We find the most challenges in making assumptions with the people we've worked with the longest. Everybody should know how to do that. I made some assumptions assigning these songs. Let me test the crowd to see if you all know these. Listen carefully. I'm going to watch you. I'm going to try not to do it. It'll be tough for me because when the music comes on, I want to move. I'm going to try not to do it. I want you to look at your table and see if the people at your table know the dance moves to this song right here. Listen carefully. Okay, one more time. All right, okay, here's the grade I'm going to give you all, Arizona Healthcare Association. I would give you, in love, a solid 60% because we had very limited participation. Now, there's a couple things that are happening. One, someone doesn't know the YMCA. Or two, someone thinks this is ridiculous. There is no way I'm gonna dance. Where is this going? I figured that would happen, so I picked the second song very intentionally. You don't have to raise your hands, we just move at the elbows. And you all just showed me just a moment ago you can do this. So listen carefully. You can even close your eyes if you're feeling a little nervous. Let's see if you could do this on the beat.
Freeze! Everybody clap your hands.
Okay, fantastic. All right, A+ now. But now we have to go back in time. Imagine the night. It's not adults, it's kids. They're crowd surfing. It's night one. They're having a great time. I'm on the back of the stage. My college friends are at the front, and they're killing it. Each one going up there leading someone, and it's time for the grand finale. I want you to think of the person you trust the most, you've worked with the longest on your team. Once you've got them in your head, give me a head shake. All right. I had a friend that I went to college with. We went to the same church, ate at the same restaurants, went to the same schools, went to the same college, listened to the same music in our cars. I go to my friend. His name is Michael. I'll use the name Michael because his name is Michael. And if I use something else, I may forget. His name is Michael. Now, to know Michael is to love Michael. There's probably a lot of people in here like my friend Michael. Michael is a good person, a selfless person, someone who is always around, willing to help, would give you the shirt off his back. He's also incredibly shy, very quiet. If he was in this room, he'd be at the very back, not saying a word, but ready to step into action whenever you need him. Do you know someone like my friend Michael, yes or no? Yes. So imagine Michael, I go to him and I ask, Michael, are you excited about this weekend? He very quickly says, yes, I can't wait. I want to make a difference in these kids' lives. And I asked, I'm wondering if you'll help me. Anything for you, Alyson. I said, I'm wondering if we'll have music, we'll have the kids dancing, each of the college leaders will be signed a song, shaking his head yes, like, I agree with you, I see where you're going. And I said, then we need a grand finale. Let me know what you think about this, Michael. I'm thinking for the grand finale that we'll have someone totally unexpected come up on the stage. We'll play the Michael Jackson, Billie Jean song. And because it's someone everyone knows, everyone loves, when they start making their way up to the front, everybody's going to pull out their cell phone and start recording. We're going to create this moment people talk about, remember, reminisce about. Do you remember what happened at that event? My friend Michael shaking his head, yeah, okay, yes. And I said, so Michael, I'm wondering, because you care so much about the kids, because nobody would ever expect it. I'm wondering if you would be willing to come up to the front, and when the Michael Jackson, Billie Jean song comes on, I'm wondering if you'll hit the pose and moonwalk all across the stage. And my friend Michael went from smiling and shaking his head to now sweating profusely. And he said, Alyson, I'm with you. I think it's a great idea, but you're going to have to find someone else. But I'm here to teach you about influence. I've learned a thing or two about moving people, especially those who seem like they don't want to get on board. And so I influenced my friend Michael to say yes. And now we're back in the night. Everything's going off without a hitch. The kids are happy. I'm over here celebrating in the dark behind the stage, happy about what's going down. My friend Michael starts making his way up to the very front of the stage. And as he's walking around, I wish he was here. I'm going to bring him one of these days. As he's coming around the stage, he starts walking up. And I need every one of you all to watch very carefully. I was very clear in what I communicated. I asked him to do the moonwalk, hit the pose, walk across the stage. He walks up, and as he walks up, the whole place turned into a Taylor Swift concert. It was a sea of white lights. They're recording this. I'm going to show you what my friend Michael, someone I had known for my whole life, someone I had worked with forever, someone who I had communicated with very carefully. Let me show you what he did. He comes up, shoulders out. And he gives me a thumbs up, and he's off. And I'm telling you all, my shy friend had his chin up, shoulders out, chest puffed out like I did the thing, Alyson. And you all are very kind. You all laughed. But kids can be brutal. Nobody laughed. It was as if they immediately took those phones they had out recording, pulled them down, and started texting their mom, like, can you please come get me? This is a really weird church. I had to then go to damage control. I immediately grabbed the mic, get everybody out of the room, on to the rest of the night. But I asked my friend Michael, can you hold on for just a second? Michael comes over. He said, I get this feeling by the look on your face that you're upset, Alyson, but I did exactly what you asked me to do. Hit the pose and moonwalk across the stage. And I realized right then and there that I'm to blame for this communication breakdown, because I had made an assumption that we both know what this means. How often are you making assumptions about people? How often are you saying one thing, but it's being understood very differently? People think they're doing great, then they're surprised with a bad evaluation. We had a communication breakdown. Has that ever happened in your organizations, yes or no? I need to make sure that doesn't happen here. I was thinking with my friend Michael, going forward, I'm going to have to use the listening technique. I'll teach that to you in just a bit. But it's time for me to now teach you the strategy of infinite influence. If for my note takers in the room, I want you to take your phone, take your Remarkable, take your pen and paper. I want you to write down the term infinite influence. Infinite influence, because this should never be confused or used to manipulate people. The strategy I'm about to show you will show you how to move people. And it would be devastating for me if any of you tried to use this to manipulate someone. Manipulation is tactics used to coerce someone or achieve a result that can be perceived as, I'll do whatever it takes to win, regardless of who loses. Anybody in here ever known someone that's manipulated someone else? Now, no elbowing. Nobody asked you to be the Holy Spirit today. We're not cutting eyes. We're not calling names. But I want you to consider, hopefully you've never been the one manipulating people. Because more than ever today, people want to know they can trust those that they work with, that they have their best interest at heart as well. Manipulation should not be confused with infinite influence. But also the word motivation should not be confused with infinite influence. Motivation is internal decision making. It's something only you can control. This phrase of you can't, I can't, no one can motivate someone to do something they don't want to do is truth. You decide what you're motivated by, and our motivations are shaped by how we grew up, how we were parented, or lack thereof, what we've experienced that we've loved, or what we've experienced that we never want to happen again. I'm curious if you know exactly what's motivating you to stay, to go all in. Maybe some of you are motivated by the reality that you only have a couple years left till you retire. So you're gonna ride the wave and then get out of here. Some of you are motivated to go all in because maybe you're a few years away from retirement and you wanna make sure that you set this place up for better success than it ever had under your leadership. Some of you are motivated to show up here today because you wanted to get out of the building for a day or two. Some of you are motivated here because you wanted to build connections. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but what I want you to know is that you can't motivate an employee to come stay and go all in. You can't motivate someone to care, but you can influence their motivation. Now, influence, I use the term infinite influence because you can influence someone and it be a temporary, fleeting interaction. You can woo somebody. They can like you in the moment with a smile and a handshake and a little professionalism. You can influence people in that way, but it's temporary. Listen carefully. Infinite influence is a strategy using tactics and a strategy that are running on a sold-out mission to achieve a win-win-win outcome. I want you to think about is how I'm showing up at work, the decisions that I'm making, what I'm communicating and asking of other people. Is it good for them? Is it good for me? Is it good for the organization? And that becomes the compass we use. Infinite influence is interacting in a way that creates a difference long after you're gone and far beyond you. I believe in the depths of my soul that it is each and every one of our purpose to build infinite influence. And honestly, I think our world is desperate for leaders who are after win-win-win outcomes. Infinite influence is the end goal, but the strategy is intentional leadership. For my note takers in the room, there are 3 types of leaders in this room. 3 types. You fall into one of these 3 categories right now. When I think of leadership, I realize that people achieve success. They're seen as a leader one of 3 ways. One is accidental leaders. Here's how you would know if you are an accidental leader. If I were to come to you and ask you, how did you achieve that level of success? What did you do? What can I repeat? If we're sitting across the table eating a chicken sandwich and you say, oh, well, I don't know. It's kind of a surprise to me too that I've landed here. You might be an accidental leader. That's a scary place to be because how do you know what to repeat going forward? How do you know what to teach other people so that they too can achieve success? There are accidental leaders. There's also incidental leaders. Incidental leaders are people who, one of two things. They've either struck lightning in a bottle once and got an opportunity, or did something right one time and everybody saw. Maybe they think of influencers for a moment. They can have a viral video, but their success, temporary. We often see incidental leaders inside organizations like yours when we promote people based on technical skill to now be over a team. They might have the technical skill, but not the people management or leadership skills developed. I see heads shaking all around the room. That's incidental leaders. We're not after accidental or incidental. We're after intentional. And now I am about to challenge you. I wonder how intentional you have been as you've been leading inside of your organization. I wonder about the culture you've built. How intentional is the culture you've built? When we're intentional, we create predictable success. We can take all of the research that Mark shared, see the opportunity, and then work our way there very systematically, very predictably, with fewer roadblocks along the way. But we have to start at the foundation. Hands down, for my note takers in the room, I want you to write this down. The most successful leaders in 2025 and beyond, the most successful organizations in 2025 and beyond, will be those who create intentional leaders from day one. From the interview process to how you onboard, and then how people show up every single day. The world-class employers will be those who are creating leaders from the very beginning using this definition I will share with you right now. Leadership is not position. When I'm talking about leadership today, I'm not talking about management or decision-making responsibility. I want you to think, in order to achieve infinite influence, we need everyone in our team working in the same direction, speaking the same language, holding themselves to a higher standard, and willing to do what it takes to achieve a win-win-win outcome. That means leadership is a choice. If I went into your organization and I were to ask people, so do you see yourself as a leader here? I wonder if they would own that, or if they would say, no, but they are, and they are, and they are. Or have you created a culture of leadership? This is no longer, if I could sound an alarm, this is no longer an option, it's a fundamental requirement in the diverse workforce and culture we have today. Leadership is not position, leadership is. And this becomes the meat and potatoes of where we will spend our time together today. I want you to ask yourself, how intentionally have you built the culture of your organization? Is everyone speaking the same language? And have I been setting the example that a leader should? Leadership is not position, meaning it's a choice for all of us to potentially level up the quality of our leadership today. Leadership is, if you look on the screen, leadership is the ability to serve the need and the choice to take action. The ability to serve the need and the choice to take action. Now, Arizona Healthcare Association, what's the most important word up there? Say it out loud. Most of you all are saying choice. Any other ideas? Someone says leadership. Action. I hear words all over the place. Let me help you. I circled it for you. The very first word in this definition, 3 little letters change everything. They laser focus what we think about, what we talk about, what we plan for, and what we execute. Now, the challenge we often see in rooms like this, if I could look around the room, depending on how much Botox is in the room, many people who were in the workforce in the 80s and 90s, many people believe in servant leadership. That once you've risen to a certain level of influence or management responsibility, then you should take care of those in your care. If you agree with that, say yes. Me too. And if that was enough, There wouldn't be good people not gaining ground. There wouldn't be good people having communication breakdowns. There wouldn't be good people with low employee engagement on their team. Maybe you've been serving a need, but not the need. In order to achieve infinite influence, you must know the paramount need. For my note takers in the room, that's a word you want to write down. The paramount need. Hands down, the number one best way to understand someone's paramount need is to get to know their story. It doesn't matter how many DISC assessments, Myers-Briggs assessments, True Colors, any of that you do. Those are all easily forgettable. You will likely remember yours and forget other people. They might create self-awareness, but not teams. We must get to know people's story, because if we don't, we might offer someone money and that do nothing for their employee engagement. We might give someone a promotion and it's nice maybe, but does nothing for their commitment to your organization. We could write someone a card, and that's, yes, amen. It's universally a great gesture. But what if you spend all your time doing that and all you create is maybe a little bit of influence? We're after infinite influence, the kind where we both start showing up to work and we're sold out to make each other successful. Getting to know someone's story is not rocket science, but it does require you to intentionally listen for clues. The paramount need is what's at the very top, what's most important for someone, so that you can focus your resources, your time, your energy, your money, making sure that your actions as a leader move things forward. Now, I'll tell you this story. I'm going to tell you where I learned this. I learned this strategy way back in 3rd grade. Now, I learned this in 3rd grade, and thank goodness I did, because it is with this strategy of understanding someone's paramount need that I've been able to achieve at 36 years old every single professional goal I've had to this point. That's not to brag. I want you to see that if you get this right, there's no such thing as a self-made success. Success requires the investment and support of a lot of people. It means when you can understand people very quickly, because I think you all are busy people, is that fair? When you can understand people very quickly, then you don't miss, you don't lose. And I'll show you, you already know how to execute this strategy and just how simple it is. The teacher that I had who showed me this strategy didn't have the language. Some of you are already executing this strategy. You just don't have the language to teach it. If someone were to ask you, how have you been so successful? You may need the words. So I'm either going to challenge you or reinforce what you've been doing. My teacher who made a difference in my life, who taught me this strategy at a young age, her name was Miss Christy Conger. Anybody have a teacher who made a difference in your life? Hands around the room. Miss Conger, if I could paint a picture of her for you all, she's about my height, so 5'3.5" on a good day. She has brown, curly, voluminous hair, crystal blue eyes. I remember Miss Conger wore the prettiest shade of bright pink lipstick. I thought she was beautiful. I even remember Miss Conger's classroom smelled like red Starburst. That was over 25 years ago. And I remember those details not because Miss Conger was a teacher or an administrator or an owner or a CNA. I remember Miss Conger because she quite literally changed my life. I think more often than not, because we spend so much time at work, I think our purpose is rooted in the people that we interact with. Our patients, maybe, but I think it's in our teams more than we even realize. Miss Conger, in order for her to be successful, so I want you to think of your title. Put it in your mind. I am a blank, your title. In order for Miss Conger to be successful as a teacher, she needed some things from other people, just as you do. She needed students to come into her classroom, pay attention, learn, grow, and test well. She needed those students to test in August, go throughout the year, learn and grow, test again in the spring. And those scores needed to be higher in the spring than in the fall. And if they were, she was seen as a successful teacher. She would be given tenure at our school. She would feel more pride in her work, but also the school would be given more money if students in her classroom learned, grew, and tested well. A win-win-win outcome. Is what you're after a win-win-win outcome? Would your team say what you seem to be after is a win-win-win outcome? Ms. Conger, though, she and I had a challenge, if I can be honest with you. I was not going to school at 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, to learn and grow. You might be thinking, who did they get to speak up here? I was going to school. Maybe you have people on your team who are like me. They show up every day, but they're no help to moving things forward here. They cause more problems rather than moving the ship forward. You laugh because you know that's true. I was going to school for really 2 reasons. 2 reasons only. I remember consciously thinking of these reasons. Number 1, free food. I didn't know if we would have dinner at home, but I knew that if I would set an alarm, if I'd get my brother up and my little sister up, if I would make sure we all got to the bus stop and got to school, that at least we'd have free breakfast and free lunch that day. I was going to school for free food. I was also going to school for safety. Because the house that I grew up in, anything outside of that house was better for us than what was going on inside that house. School was an escape for me. I want you all to consider for a moment. You can know a lot about people. Maybe you can regurgitate their resume, list the awards that they've gotten. But I wonder how well do you know their story? Why they're showing up? Sometimes when we intentionally just take a moment to see the story, we get some clarity as to why things are going this way, why they're no help to moving things forward here. And then we have a choice to make. We can either take action to help get them on board in a way that's going to be good for all of us, or we can say, let's get them out of here as soon as we can. As soon as we find somebody else to replace them, we're doing it. Or let's just ignore them and we'll focus on something else. This leadership strategy, I'm going to use a phrase for you. I believe that we have to make it simple so it is repeatable. One of the ways to understand what your culture is I would go ask your team, what are the phrases that people repeat here? What are the phrases that they repeat? If we make it simple and repeatable, we're likely to see it executed. How intentionally have you built your culture? What phrases do you repeat? Now, Ms. Conger, she had a phrase she repeated every day. Ms. Conger would say, all right, class, story of the day. And she would go up. This is the one and only, maybe one of 2 times I would say, leaders speak first. When you tell your story, it becomes an invitation for other people to tell theirs. And knowing their story is required for you to know their paramount need, which informs and focuses your decision and your path forward. Now, Ms. Conger would say, all right, story of the day is, I'm going to use something every day, because these clues are hidden in everyday conversations. Story of the day is, what'd you have for dinner last night? Where'd you go? What'd you do? Now, class, you have 10 seconds or less. In order to achieve infinite influence, I'll make it simple. You need to see the story, serve the need. When it says leadership is not position, leadership is the ability to serve the need. Simplifying that, see the story. What is the paramount need? Ms. Conger would say, I'll go first. Dinner last night, I had Kentucky Fried Chicken, green beans, and mashed potatoes. It was great. Now, we can make Kentucky Fried Chicken. You all would have to buy it. But in that moment, we very quickly understood some things about her over time. We got to know that Ms. Conger was single. She didn't have any kids of her own, which might explain why she was all in at work. We learned that she liked to cook at home, which informed the gifts that we gave her. Maybe dishes, maybe oven mitts versus an apple. But then, because she told her story, just everyday stories, we were then given the opportunity to come to her desk and share ours. You are hearing stories every day. Intentional leaders are listening for clues. Because I'd go up to her desk and I'd say, not me, let me use someone else for a moment. Let's say Angelica in my class goes up to her desk, and little Angelica goes up. Of course she's first. She raises her hands for everything. She wants all the opportunity. Maybe you know someone like that on your team. Little Angelica, nobody really liked her, but they just got along to get along. She goes up and she says, Miss Conger, my story is that my mom made salmon and asparagus and my daddy made us drink water. It was disgusting. And Miss Conger would sympathize, not to be confused with empathy. Miss Conger would sympathize, curl up her nose, say, oh goodness. She'd pull out a few of those Starburst off of her desk, hand them to little Angelica, send her off about her way, and Angelica would be as happy as she could be with sugar and red dye 40, getting back to her desk and sitting down, getting to work. But Miss Conger would do what I'm asking every single one of you to do from this moment forward. She would hear a story and then just pause for a moment and consider the clues that she heard. We're busy. We're reactive. It's hard to be proactive. But the most effective leaders in world-class organizations know we must just pause for a moment. Because what she learned about little Angelica was, little Angelica, all her story is that all she's ever known is that the world does revolve around her. She's not a bad person, that's just her story. We all have a story that shapes how we show up. Little Angelica was an only child, and her mom and dad had trouble having children. So it meant that whatever little Angelica did, she had mom and dad there all the time. And then with that information, Ms. Conger knew, let her be at the front of the line more than other people. That'll mean a lot to her. I'm trying to build that connection. She knew that little Angelica would really appreciate a certificate or a ribbon because that would be posted up somewhere. Whereas for another student, it'd go in the trash and never even make it home. How do you know who to give recognition to? Who to give awards to? If you don't know their story, could your effort be falling flat? Wasted time and energy because you don't know their story. How intentional have you been? Let me give you another one. This is where you all get to show yourself. I know how to find the paramount need. I know how to look for the clues because the next kid would go up to the desk and maybe his name is some Grace today. Maybe separate households, he's learned to be very resilient and he can deal with challenges. Maybe with separate households, he doesn't understand why a team would ever stay together when things get tough. How deep, how meaningful, the quality of the conversations you're having. How intentional have you been? Ms. Conger knew that with little Brian, she learned over time, he's a great collaborator. He's good, he's very selfless. He's learned to let someone else go first. He might be someone who's great to manage a project because he's been involved in all these other people's lives. There are clues in everyday interactions that will help you manage your business better. Are you looking for them? Or have you been saying, this is how I lead, this is how I manage, this is a best practice? World-class employers choose to adapt in a way that is going to meet their team where they are and move everybody forward. I'd go up to Ms. Conger's desk. I was ignorant at 8 years old. Maybe you were brilliant. I was ignorant, not stupid, but didn't know any better. Meaning I was an incredibly happy kid. I go up to Ms. Conger's desk and I say, Ms. Conger, we didn't have dinner last night, but my dad never made us come inside. We got to stay out all night. It was awesome. And Ms. Conger looked like some of you. Big eyes. And then she immediately went into, Alyson, I've got something for you. She opens up her bottom desk drawer, pulls out a sack of food. She would give me this once a week. She'd give it to me, go put that in your backpack. She cared about me. She was giving me that food. I'd go back to my desk, happy as could be, but never changing my performance. We all have a need to eat. but it wasn't my paramount need. If you've ever feel like you're working yourself to death, you're trying so hard, and it's just not connecting or happening the way that you want, it might be because you're serving a need, but not the need. How well do you know your team? Because Ms. Conger, she knew that the way she saw me as a leader, she didn't see me as a problem, although I know I had to be a thorn in her side. She saw me as a purpose and found her purpose in me. Maybe some of you need the same. Maybe some of you need your team to see their purpose in you. Leadership should not just be top down, you getting to know them, you adapting to them. It should be all across the organization from the bottom up, from day one. That's the power of creating a culture of leadership. I was sitting at my desk and Ms. Conger comes up to me one day. Every single day she's collecting these clues. So with these clues, she has an idea. You may have a brilliant idea that will change everything for your team. It might be different for you, different for you, different for you, but it's all based on your unique team in this season. Ms. Conger had an idea. She comes up to me. She knew that I didn't have a mom at home. She knew nobody was paying attention because she got to know my story. She knew that, and with that information, her idea was she comes up to me and she asks, I'm sitting in my chair, and she asks, Alyson, do you want to stay after school tomorrow and I'll fix your hair for picture day? Now, my mind started like a Rolodex. For Gen Zs or millennials in the room, you might be thinking, what's a Rolodex? Ask ChatGPT. My mind is and I'm thinking, hold on, Ms. Conger is beautiful. If I could have my hair fixed and curly and beautiful for picture day. Now, this was picture day in the 1900s. This was back when we didn't have social media. The yearbook was everything. You take that yearbook home. You cross out the people that didn't matter. You draw a heart around those who did. And for the really important people, you let them sign on the crack of your yearbook. I just remember thinking, if I could look as beautiful as Ms. Conger, then maybe everybody would like me as much as they liked her. So my answer to her was a very quick yes. I'd love that. Now, in her job description anywhere, did it say fix her team member's hair? No. And now some of you may think, what does fixing hair have to do with me? I don't even have much hair on my head. I'm not making eye contact with anybody. I want you to know, you may not understand this from a hair perspective, but you will understand this from a heart perspective. And it is the heart of a leader that can change everything for a team. The next day, if there's ever a day I'm watching the clock, it was that day. I couldn't wait till 2:45 because that's when all the kids would get out of here because me and Ms. Conger had work to do. This yearbook picture was going to change my life. She did as she always did. She walked all the kids out of the classroom. She shut that door behind her, click, and then she came to me. She comes over and she takes me by the hand. We go sit behind her desk. There was a chair that sat behind her desk. Always there. Usually the chair you had to go sit in when you were in trouble. I'm not going to tell you if I ever sat in that chair before, but what I will say is that day, I was not in trouble. I can tell you as a grown woman now that looking back, I think it was the first time in my life I remember feeling like I was special. I sit in that chair. Ms. Conger pulls out this clear zippered pouch of sponge rollers. You'll remember those? Your wife, your mama, your grandmama used to. She starts rolling up my stick straight hair in those rollers. And one thing Ms. Conger did, I remember a couple of things, but one thing she did is Ms. Conger didn't talk above me. She wasn't talking about herself. She wasn't talking below me or at me. She was talking with me, about me. When you go interact with your team, are you talking about what you did this weekend? How much fun you've been having, what you want to see going forward, what you think about that? Or would they say you're always more interested in me than anything else? How intentional have you been about showing up? The other thing Ms. Conger did that now I get to teach. Typically, my work is rooted in management teams. We help them elevate their skills in order to drive results with and through a team. And we would teach a technique on listening in today's world. Ms. Conger's sitting at that desk, and so she did something that I don't know if you all do. Ms. Conger did not multitask. How many, don't answer, but how many of you are multitaskers? You know you're a multitasker if someone comes to talk with you and you say, let me just finish this email real quick. Or you say something like, walk with me, talk with me. Unintentionally sending this message of, I'll listen to you, but where I have to go is far more important. Disconnect created unintentionally. Intentional leaders know that when someone comes to talk with me, everything stops. I'm not wearing an Apple Watch so I can look down and know it's time for me to stand up. The impact I make on people is more important than that as a leader. When someone comes to talk with me, I pay attention. Ms. Conger stopped what she's doing. She's turned from her computer. She's making eye contact with me. I remember Ms. Conger's friend at work opened the door Ms. Conger had shut, called Ms. Conger by her first name, Christy. And Ms. Conger never broke eye contact with me and said, not right now, Christy. Not right now, Stacy was her name. I'm with Alyson. Infinite influence is about the connections that we make. I remember thinking, I must be important to her. Is how you're showing up on an everyday basis when you feel like you don't even have the energy to give. Are you still choosing to lead? Because you're either growing your connections or pulling your team apart in everyday moments. I'm sitting there and we finish, she takes me home. We go to school the next day. I don't know if you all can tell, but I'm a little bit dramatic. I had decided that I wanted this big reveal for my hair because the yearbook picture was going to change my life. So as I'm laying in my bed the next morning, picture day morning, I start taking these rollers out of my hair in my bedroom. And once I can feel I've got all of them out, I throw off the covers and start booking it to the bathroom. And when I run to the bathroom, flip on the light, look in the mirror, that room became an Herbal Essences shampoo commercial. I'm looking in the mirror and I'm going, yes, yes, yes. My hair is curly, voluminous. Little Alyson remembers thinking, this looks beautiful. This yearbook picture is going to change my life. I had hope. I started thinking, how do I make these curls stay? Never seen my hair fixed before, and started thinking about my dad. My dad in 1996 was rocking a haircut made famous by a country singer. Who was it? Billy Ray Cyrus. And what was the haircut Billy Ray made famous? The mullet, which would often be described as business in the front, party in the back. But my dad's mullet was more like party all over because all this short hair, as I thought about it, he stuck that straight up. And I just remember thinking, that's not natural. How does he get that to stay? Because I need these curls to stay. And so I start going through the cabinet and I found a can of Firm Hold Mousse. And I'm thinking, yes. How often as leaders are we telling people, go out, do your job, and they're confident, they think they know what they're doing, and then they start making mistakes. I take that can of mousse and start squirting it in my hand. It should puff up like shaving cream or whipped cream. If you shake it and hold it the right way. I didn't know, so as I squirted it in my hand, it puddled like milk. And I take this wet liquid, I put it on my dry hair, and I work it in root to tip. And when I get down to the very last strand, I go into that bathroom, and when I look in the mirror, I was expecting va va voom. But when I looked in that mirror, my hair is now matted to my head, chunks of mousse. It's already crunchy, and I just remember thinking, Ms. Conger is going to kill me. She spent her time, her money, her energy, her effort, and I ruined it. But I was going to school for 2 reasons. What were those 2 reasons? Food and safety. Let me just pause for a second. We've been through a lot this morning. But you remember 2 of those details? The reason, the science behind you remembering those two details is because they were wrapped in a story. If you ever have to repeat yourself, or people come ask you questions all the time, if you feel like you say one thing and it's in one ear and out the other, you might need to change the way you communicate. Maybe tell a story so that it sticks. I had to go to school regardless of what Miss Conger was going to do to me. If I could have avoided it, I would have. Some of you have people in your organization that won't address the hard issues, maybe because their story is that all they've known is one little thing goes wrong and boom, everything hits the fan. So we're just not going to do that. Or maybe they grew up in a home where we don't talk about issues, we just sweep them under the rug. Or maybe they grew up in a house where everybody does kumbaya, na, na, and we talk through those things. I just wonder, how intentional have you been about how you communicate? Do you know your people well enough to know when and how to address issues? Or have you been saying, well, in order to show them respect, I'm going to bring them in my office and have a conversation? Research says that people over the age of 40 put you in an in-person interaction, even if it's difficult. The hormone that races through your body is serotonin and dopamine. Even if it's difficult, because you have learned your stories, you learn to build connections around a dinner table, at a ball field growing up. You learn to build connections in person, and you crave that. Someone taught you that if you have to have a difficult conversation, you come together in person, and now you treat people the way you want to be treated, not the way they want to be treated. And we have found that often with people under the age of 40, we create disconnect unintentionally. Because the research says that those people under the age of 40 have learned to build connection with their parents through the rear view mirror in their car when their mama says, what number do you want at the McDonald's drive-thru? They've learned to build connection with their friends through video games. They've learned to build connections with their friends through FaceTime. They've learned to do it through text messages. Some of you need to adapt the way you lead in a way that will be uncomfortable for you, but exactly the technique that will create connection, not disconnect. How intentional have you been leading? Let me take you back to that teacher story. I'm standing in that bathroom knowing I'm going to school, so I get on the bus and I go. As soon as I hit that third grade hallway, Miss Conger and I make eye contact. She freezes dead in her tracks. I remember. But then, in true Christy Conger form, she throws open her arms and comes running towards me. Alyson! In a sea of crowded fellow students, she says, Alyson, you look so beautiful, and pulls me in and wraps me in a hug. Now, she lied, and leaders shouldn't lie. We'll deal with that in another session. But imagine that hug, because this is the power of strategically building infinite influence. Let me give you a phrase to remember. See the story, serve the need. Leadership is the ability to serve the need and the choice to take action. The ability to see the story and then choosing to take action. Because Ms. Conger could have said, not my problem. Not my job, not in my job description. That's too much. I shouldn't have to. They need to step up. I wonder if you all have made some of those comments about your team. That's not what leaders do. When leaders understand their people's story, they laser focus how they engage them, and they get it right. They get an infinite influence result, just like Ms. Conger did, because I'm standing in that hallway, and the very first thought, I have cold chills. The very first thought I had was, I wonder if this is what love is. Because in my mind, I had already decided. I came into work with this perception of what it means to be loved. And I had already decided, if that's what love is, what I knew at home, I don't want a family growing up. When I get older, I don't want to get married. I don't want kids, none of it. I'm going to just do me. But in that moment, because someone chose to go to work and not just do their job, but they chose to lead, they quite literally changed my life, and you have that power too. You just need the right information. And you won't find it in a statistic. You won't find it in a personality test. You'll find it in the everyday stories you're hearing. Leaders, are you listening for those clues? Because I'm standing here today, and I remember thinking, if this is love, then one day I do want a family. Now I'm a wife and mom of 4 because of someone like you. But the second, the business bottom line grows, whenever we work towards achieving infinite influence at every level of our organization. Because then I started saying, in that hug, in a matter of seconds, because her service was so focused, I said, you know what, if she cares about me, the food didn't do it. She could have been the best teacher in the world. That didn't do anything, but it changed everything when my paramount need to know that I mattered to someone was met. I said, you know what? I'm going to start paying attention in class. I'm going to start being more helpful around the classroom. I started thinking, how can I make Miss Conger proud? And I wonder in your organizations, would your results be different? Would the quality of your service be different if everyone on your team started showing up and saying, it's my responsibility to lead. And because you're leading too, I'm going to do everything I can in order to be more helpful, in order to make a difference. Maybe they'll be like me. I just wanted to make Miss Conger proud, so I'll get in the gifted and talented program. Answer yes or no. Would your organization be better off if everyone started showing up more intentionally than ever before, yes or no? Then it becomes all of our responsibility to build more effective leaders who understand the power of the story and serving that paramount need. So I want to give you something that you can email to all of your team right now that will uncover the difference in employee motivation and influence and help them uncover their own paramount needs so they can share it with you, but also equip them to be a better teammate for you. If you'll scan this QR code. My time is finishing up here. If you want that book, it's a PDF to immediately send to your team. You can, let me get out of the way. You can scan that QR code. I'm happy to give that away. I did not come here to entertain you or put on a show for you. I came here to serve you. I find my purpose in helping you live out yours. Your purpose is likely rooted in the people you interact with. It is my hope that from today, as you leave here, regardless of how your circumstances have shaped you, we can't always control our circumstances, but we can control our next right move. I think our world is desperate for leaders who are equipped to make a difference. Is going to be good for you, good for them, good for us all. I'm hopeful for the future because of people like you. Arizona Healthcare Association, thank you for your time. I'm wishing you wild success. Thank you.